The Corvashi ships appeared without warning. They filled Earth's skies like massive dark clouds on that spring morning in 2156. Their strange metal hulls reflected no light, seeming to absorb it instead. When they fired their weapons for the first time, humanity understood true helplessness. Nothing in Earth's arsenals could match them. Missiles exploded harmlessly against their shields. Radar systems couldn't lock onto their vessels. Nuclear strikes were neutralized before detonation. In less than a week, major cities around the world lay in ruins. Captain Sun Mai Han watched from orbit as Seoul vanished in a flash of light. Her home, her family, everything she had known, gone in seconds. The colony ship Perseverance was never meant to evacuate Earth. It had been built for Mars colonization, but now served as humanity's lifeboat. New York has gone silent, Lieutenant Jun-Ho Kim reported, his fingers trembling as they moved across the control panel. London, too. The evacuation centers are being overrun. Han closed her eyes briefly. She had been awake for 72 hours straight, coordinating what little resistance humans could muster, but mostly trying to save as many as possible. "The last shuttles are approaching, Captain," Kim said quietly. Through the view screen, Han watched the tiny evacuation craft making their final approach, each one packed with terrified civilians, carrying nothing but the clothes on their backs and whatever they could hold. In the launch bay, people crowded together. Children cried. Adults stood in shocked silence. Medical personnel moved through the crowd, treating injuries and administering calming medications to those in panic. "Final headcount, Lieutenant." Kim checked his tablet. 300,000 souls aboard Perseverance. The other 11 colony ships report similar numbers. Total evacuation estimate is 3.5 million humans, out of nearly 10 billion. Han's stomach twisted. She had failed. They all had failed. "Captain," Kim's voice dropped lower. "Corvashi pursuit vessels have changed course. They've detected us. 3 destroyer-class ships on intercept trajectory." Han straightened her uniform. "How long until they reach us?" 20 minutes, maybe less." She nodded and turned to the navigation console. The dimensional drive was experimental technology, never tested with a vessel this size. But they had no choice. "Signal the diaspora fleet. All ships to follow our jump signature precisely. Deviation could strand them between galaxies." Kim's eyes widened. "Andromeda. Captain, that's over 2 million light-years away." "Exactly," Han said, placing her palm on the ancient navigation console to authorize the dimensional jump. "The Corvashi won't follow us there." The Perseverance's engines hummed louder. Through the view screen, Han could see Earth growing smaller. Blue oceans now stained with black smoke, green continents scarred by the Corvashi weapons. Her home. "All ships report ready, Captain," Kim said. "The Corvashi vessels are accelerating." Han addressed the ship-wide communication system. "This is Captain Han. Prepare for dimensional jump. Secure yourselves and any nearby passengers." She looked at the officers on her bridge, meeting each of their eyes in turn. Some she had known for years. Others were new faces, survivors from military vessels destroyed in the first wave of attacks. "We're leaving behind almost everything we've ever known," Han told them. "But we're taking with us what matters most, our humanity. And one day, when we're ready, we will return." The Corvashi vessels appeared on the long-range scanners now, their weapons charging. "Dimensional drives at full capacity," reported the engineering officer. "Ready on your command." Han took one last look at Earth through the view screen. Her parents were down there somewhere. Her brother and his children. Friends. Colleagues. Billions of humans who would never know what happened to the lucky few who escaped. "Jump," she ordered. Space itself seemed to fold around the Perseverance. A tunnel of swirling light opened before them. The other colony ships followed one by one into the dimensional rift. As Earth disappeared from view, Captain Han spoke the oath that would be remembered and repeated for 3,000 years. "I swear on the ashes of Earth that we will survive. We will grow strong. And we will return." When we do, the Corvashi will understand what it means to awaken human vengeance. The dimensional rift closed behind the last ship, leaving no trace for the Corvashi to follow. The journey to Andromeda had begun. Admiral Jinwoo Park stood at the window of his quarters aboard the Confederation flagship Justice. 3,000 years had passed since humanity fled Earth. Now he looked out at a view Captain Han could never have imagined. A vast orbital shipyard surrounding the blue-green planet called New Terra, with thousands of vessels under construction. Humans had changed. Park reached up to touch the silver neural port at his temple. The small device connected his thoughts directly to the ship's systems. Most humans now had such implants, along with genetic modifications for longer life, resistance to disease, and adaptation to different gravity environments. "Admiral," the ship's eye spoke, "the Council is ready for you." Park straightened his midnight blue uniform. 6 gold stars marked his rank as Supreme Commander of the Confederation fleet. At 70 years old, he looked barely 40 by ancient Earth standards. "Thank you, Athena," he replied. The transport tube carried him swiftly to the council chamber. Inside, 24 men and women waited, the leaders of humanity's government. Each represented different colony worlds across the 300 star systems humans now called home. Counselor Minja Lee nodded as Park entered. Her skin shimmered with embedded quantum communication nodes that glowed softly beneath the surface. Like many political leaders, she had opted for modifications that allowed instant connection to information networks. "Admiral Park," she greeted him formally. "We understand you have news regarding Project Homecoming." Park stepped to the center of the circular chamber. "I do, counselors." With a thought, he activated the holographic display. The familiar spiral shape of the Milky Way galaxy appeared, rotating slowly in the air. "For 3,000 years, we have remembered Earth," Park began. "For 3,000 years, we have built our strength. For 3,000 years, we have waited." He expanded the display to show a specific section of the galaxy. "Our long-range sensors and stealth drones have successfully mapped the old Sol system. Earth still exists, though it has been heavily mined and exploited by the Corvashi Empire." The counselors leaned forward, many seeing images of their ancestral home for the first time outside of historical records. "The return gate coordinates from Captain Han's original flight logs have been verified," Park continued. "The dimensional technology required to reactivate the wormhole between Andromeda and the Milky Way is now within our capabilities." Excited whispers filled the chamber. Since childhood, every human learned the story of the Exodus and the promise to return. Now, it seemed possible. Counselor Lee raised her hand. The quantum nodes on her skin pulsed with blue light as she accessed historical records. "After all this time, we can finally return to the cradle of humanity." "Yes," Park confirmed. He changed the display to show Corvashi ships and bases. "Our reconnaissance drones show the Corvashi still occupy Earth, though their empire has grown stagnant. Their technology has barely advanced in 3 millennia. Ours has leaped forward by comparison." "Show us," demanded Counselor Takmin Kang, an older man representing the mining colonies of the Outer Rim. Park nodded and displayed a comparison between Corvashi and Confederation technology. The difference was stark. Where the Corvashi still relied on energy weapons similar to those used in the invasion of Earth, Confederation ships now carried gravitational manipulators that could tear enemy vessels apart at the atomic level. "Our biological enhancements alone would make us nearly invincible to their weapons," Park added. "And our fleet outnumbers theirs 5 to 1. The council chamber erupted in murmurs and excited conversations. 3,000 years of planning, of building, of remembering. It was finally coming to fruition. Counselor Lee stood, silencing the room with a raised hand. "I believe we have our answer. The time for waiting is over." She turned to Park. "Admiral, how soon can the return gate be activated?" "Within 3 months, Counselor. My engineering teams are already preparing the dimensional technology." Lee nodded and looked around the chamber. "Then I believe our course is clear. Our ancestors swore an oath to return, We will honor that oath. The counselors voted unanimously. For the first time in 3 millennia, humans would return to the Milky Way galaxy. Prepare the vanguard, Lee commanded. It's time to reclaim what was taken from us. As Park left the chamber, he stopped to look once more at the image of Earth. His great-grandmother had been among the children evacuated on the Perseverance. She had passed down the stories, the oath, the promise. The waiting was over. Humanity was coming home. The stealth ship Shadow slipped through the newly opened wormhole, its advanced cloaking systems making it invisible to all Corvashi detection methods. Commander Ji-Hai Choi felt her heart race as stars she had only seen in historical records appeared on the view screen. This was the Milky Way, the home galaxy of all humans. Position confirmed, reported Navigation Officer Min. We are at the edge of the Sol system. Choi took a deep breath. Proceed with caution. Full stealth protocols. The 6-person team had trained for years for this mission. They were the first humans to return to Earth's solar system in 3,000 years. Each had been chosen for their specific skills: stealth operations, xenobiology, linguistics, tactical assessment, and engineering. Picking up Corvashi patrol vessels near the outer planets, said Major Tadawon Song, Choi's second-in-command. Primitive detection systems. They have no idea we're here. The shadow moved silently past the gas giants. Jupiter appeared on their screens, its great red spot still swirling after all these millennia. Then came Mars, once meant to be humanity's first colony, now housing a Corvashi mining operation. And then, finally, Earth. Choi's breath caught in her throat. The blue planet from historical records was barely recognizable. Vast sections appeared dark brown and gray. Huge excavation sites were visible even from orbit. Conditions are worse than we anticipated, she reported, sending visual feeds back to Confederation Command. Earth has been strip-mined almost to the core. The atmosphere is barely breathable. The ship's sensors scanned the planet's surface, collecting data on Corvashi installations, defense systems, and population centers. Major Song pointed to a set of readings on his screen. Commander, these biometric patterns. There are humans down there. Millions of them. Descendants of those who couldn't escape, Choi said quietly. Slaves to the Corvashi, with no knowledge of their heritage or history. The shadow entered Earth's atmosphere under cover of night, using cloud cover to mask their descent. They landed in a densely forested area that had once been part of Korea, not far from the ancient city of Seoul. Now it was a vast mining complex. The team donned environmental suits with advanced camouflage. Earth's air was technically breathable, but filled with industrial pollutants. They moved silently through the forest toward the mine entrance. Look, whispered Officer Min, pointing to a line of people emerging from underground tunnels. The team watched from concealment as humans, thin, pale, dressed in ragged clothing, shuffled out of the mine entrance. Behind them walked tall, insect-like Corvashi overseers, their mandibles clicking as they barked orders in their alien language. Their condition, Song murmured, scanning the workers with a medical sensor. Malnourishment, respiratory disease, evidence of beatings. Most won't live past 30 Earth years. Choi felt rage building inside her. These were her people, descendants of those who had been left behind. What might have been her fate if her ancestors hadn't escaped on the colony ships? They've taken everything from them, Song whispered, even their identity. A human child stumbled in the line, dropping to one knee. The Corvashi overseer raised a pain prod, ready to strike. Without thinking, Choi's hand moved to her weapon. Song grabbed her arm. Commander, we can't blow our cover. Choi forced herself to remain still as the Corvashi struck the child. An older worker helped the child up quickly, eyes downcast, saying nothing. Scan their language, Choi ordered the linguistics officer. I want to understand what they're saying to each other. After hours of observation, the team retreated to their ship. The data they had collected painted a grim picture. The Corvashi had turned Earth into a resource extraction colony. Humans were bred and raised solely for labor, with no education beyond what was needed for mining work. They don't even know they're from Earth, reported the linguistics officer after analyzing recorded conversations. They believe the Corvashi created them to serve. They have no concept of human history or culture. Choi sent the complete report to Confederation Command. Admiral Park's response came hours later. Continue reconnaissance. Identify potential resistance leaders among the Earth humans. Prepare for Phase 2. Choi looked at the faces of her team. Tomorrow we make first contact with the mine workers. We start with 1 or 2 we can trust, then build from there. If they've been enslaved for 3,000 years, will they even believe us? Asked Song. Choi's expression hardened. They'll believe us. And the Corvashi dominion over humanity ends now. Not for much longer will our people suffer. Jin's back ached as he chipped away at the tunnel wall. 19 years old and already his lungs burned with each breath. Like everyone in Mining Sector 7, he would probably die before 30. That was just how life was. The Celestial Masters had created humans to work the mines. That was their purpose. He paused to wipe sweat from his forehead. The Overseer's pain prod buzzed nearby, reminding workers to keep moving. Jin had felt its sting many times. After his 12-hour shift, Jin joined the tired line of workers heading to the sleeping barracks. His friend Min limped beside him, injured from a tunnel collapse last week. Did you hear? Min whispered. Dak says there are strangers in the old tunnels. Not masters. They look like us. Jin shook his head. Don't talk like that. If the masters hear you. It's true, Min insisted. They're asking for strong workers who can keep secrets. Jin said nothing more. Such talk led to punishment. But that night, when a hand shook him awake well past curfew, he found himself following Min through abandoned mining tunnels, curious despite his fear. They arrived at a large underground cavern where 30 workers sat in a circle. Among them stood 6 strangers. They looked like workers but stood taller, their bodies stronger, their eyes alert in a way Jin had never seen before. A woman stepped forward. Her clothes were strange. Fitted black material unlike the gray rags workers wore. I am Commander Choi, she said. Her accent was odd but understandable. You are not from any sector, Jin said cautiously. No, she replied. I am from beyond the stars. We all are. She gestured to her team. The workers murmured in confusion. The masters taught that nothing existed beyond the mining complex. Choi activated a small device on her wrist. Suddenly, a 3-dimensional image appeared in the air, a beautiful blue and green sphere. This is Earth, she said. Your home. Our home. This is what it looked like before the Corvashi, what you call the Celestial Masters, came. Jin stared in wonder. I don't understand. Your ancestors were not born to serve, Choi told them. You are human. Earth is your birthright, not theirs. Jin frowned. The masters say we were created to serve them. They lied. Choi changed the image to show humans building cities, sailing ships, reaching for the stars. Humans ruled Earth for thousands of years before the Corvashi invasion. They came 3,000 years ago and conquered our world. Some humans escaped to distant stars. We have been building our strength, waiting to return. The gathered workers looked at each other in disbelief. The idea was too big, too different from everything they had been taught. Prove it, demanded an older worker. Choi nodded to one of her team members, who opened a case. Inside were strange devices and what appeared to be medicine. This will heal your friend's leg, Choi said, offering a small device to Jin. Hold it over his injury. Hesitantly, Jin placed the device over Min's damaged leg. A soft blue light pulsed, and Min gasped. The pain, Min whispered. It's gone. He stood and tested his weight. His limp had disappeared. Over the next hours, Choi showed them more wonders, food that tasted better than anything they had known, medicine that cured illnesses the workers thought permanent, and most importantly, weapons that could fight against the masters. "We cannot free Earth alone," Choi explained. "We need your help. Some of you must learn to use these tools and teach others. We must build a secret network across all mining sectors." Jin found himself volunteering. Something had awakened inside him, a feeling he had no name for. Later, he would learn it was called hope. For 3 weeks, Jin and 20 others trained in secret with Choi's team. They learned to use communication devices, healing tools, and weapons that could penetrate Corvashi armor. Each night, they recruited more trusted workers. "Tomorrow," Choi told them as their numbers grew to hundreds, "we contact the other sectors. Similar teams like mine are working with workers around the planet. When the signal comes, we rise together." Jin looked at his fellow workers, standing straighter now, eyes bright with purpose. "What if we fail?" he asked. "We won't," Choi said, "because the full force of humanity is returning. We are just the first wave." When the signal finally came, Jin led 50 workers against the overseers of Sector 7. Their advanced weapons cut through Corvashi armor like paper. Across the planet, similar uprisings erupted simultaneously. The Corvashi, who had ruled unchallenged for millennia, found themselves facing a rebellion armed with technology beyond their understanding. And in orbit, invisible to their sensors, the vanguard of the Confederation fleet prepared to reveal itself. The wormhole appeared first as a small point of light at the edge of the solar system. Within seconds, it expanded into a swirling blue-white portal larger than Jupiter. The Corvashi orbital stations detected the energy surge and raised alarms. Their defense fleet, consisting of 200 warships, moved to intercept this unknown phenomenon. What emerged from the portal made the Corvashi commanders freeze in disbelief. Thousands of ships poured through the wormhole. The Terran Confederation fleet stretched as far as telescopes could see. Massive battleships led the formation, each one 10 times the size of the largest Corvashi vessel. Sleek destroyers flanked them, while smaller fighter craft swarmed like protective insects around the larger ships. On the bridge of the flagship Justice, Admiral Park stood tall, his neural implants connecting him directly to the battle systems of the entire fleet. 3,000 years of planning had led to this moment. "All ships in position," reported his tactical officer. "Earth's orbital defenses are targeted." Park nodded. "Send the message. All frequencies, all languages the Corvashi understand." His words echoed across space, reaching every Corvashi communication device in the system. "This is Admiral Park of the Terran Confederation fleet. We are humanity, returned from exile. You have 3 hours to surrender control of Earth and leave this system forever." On their homeworld, Jin and the other resistance fighters gathered around captured Corvashi communication devices, hearing Park's message with rising hope. After weeks of fighting, they controlled nearly 30% of Earth's surface. The Corvashi Supreme Commander, a massive insectoid creature named Frexcar, responded with immediate aggression. "Humans are property of the Imperium. Your claims are rejected. Your ships will be destroyed." As Corvashi vessels opened fire, Admiral Park shook his head. They never did learn. The battle that followed was less a fight and more a demonstration. Confederation quantum weapons tore through Corvashi shields as if they didn't exist. Gravity manipulation technology crushed entire enemy ships into balls of compressed metal. Within 2 hours, half the Corvashi fleet was destroyed. The rest retreated to Earth's orbit. On the planet's surface, Jin led his fighters against the main Corvashi command center. The alien overseers fought desperately, but their weapons were no match for the Confederation technology Jin's people now wielded. "They're trying to reach their emergency ships," Jin told Commander Choi over their communication link. "South Quadrant." "Understood," she replied. "Orbital strike incoming. Clear your people from the area." Jin watched in awe as beams of light shot down from the sky, vaporizing the fleeing Corvashi ships before they could leave the atmosphere. By nightfall, most fighting had ended. Corvashi survivors were being rounded up and placed in containment fields. Their empire, which had controlled Earth for 3 millennia, had fallen in less than a day. 1 month later, Jin stood beside Admiral Park on a reclaimed hilltop that had once been the center of a mining operation. Now it offered a view of the valley where Confederation terraforming ships hovered, releasing clouds of engineered bacteria and plants to begin healing Earth's damaged atmosphere and soil. The air quality has improved 15% already, Park said, breathing deeply without an environmental mask for the first time. Within 5 years, most of the toxic elements will be gone. Within 20, forests will grow again. Jin still found it hard to believe the changes in his life. Just weeks ago, he had been a slave who expected to die young in the mines. Now he served as the elected representative for Earth's liberated humans in meetings with Confederation officials. "Will your people stay?" Jin asked. Park nodded. "Many will. Others will maintain the Confederation colonies in Andromeda. We'll build transportation networks between both galaxies." In the valley below, former mine workers were being trained by Confederation teachers. Medical teams provided treatments to reverse generations of poor health. Construction robots assembled new housing to replace the crowded barracks. "Our ancestors always believed this day would come," Park said, his eyes on the horizon. 3,000 years in the making. Jin watched a group of children playing together, some born on Earth, others from Confederation families who had chosen to help with the rebuilding. Already they were becoming friends, learning from each other. "And what happens now?" Jin asked, looking out over the land that was now truly his. Park smiled. "Now we build something better than what came before. Together. Earth was humanity's first home, but not our last. We'll create a civilization that spans 2 galaxies, stronger for our exile, wiser for our return." Far above them, the wormhole remained open, a bridge between humanity's past and future. The end.